Hello everybody, hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Eaudetreasure. I'm Steven. This is my new channel on YouTube where I talk about my passion for fragrances, more specifically rare, discontinued, hard to find, valued fragrances. So I'm uncovering great fragrances where I live. I go shopping on the secondhand markets and I find sometimes brand new or used fragrances that are of interest, that I love. And as I buy them, I think it's interesting to talk about these fragrances, and maybe somebody out there on YouTube wants to see this content and wants to hear what I have to say about these fragrances. In the future, years down the road, I'm going to sell these online. What I'm doing now is I'm just gathering them. I'm finding them, I'm buying them, collecting them, and I'm boxing them up for a later time where I'm going to just spend a lot of time just going online and posting them for sale. So I'm just saving this YouTube channel for later, and right now I'm probably not going to be making a lot more videos like this. I'm a little bit lazy, but in the future I will. I just wanted to create the channel now so it's sitting here, and I don't know, maybe I'll be inspired and make more videos at this time. I just want to use this YouTube channel in the future to open up these boxes of fragrances that I'm storing now, and just to show you the treasures that I found over the years. But I'll talk about one right now. By the way, if you haven't, check out my first video. I'll put a card up above for my first video. I just made it last night, actually, episode 1, and that one is about the great Kouros, Yves Saint Laurent Kouros. Check that out. All right, so this video is not about Yves Saint Laurent. This video is about Gucci. And Gucci makes some awesome fragrances. They've made some awesome fragrances over the years. And if I think back to my youth growing up, the one that, actually I don't remember any of the Gucci fragrances growing up. I didn't notice them until the 2000s. The first one that I noticed was Gucci Guilty. And as I got into this hobby, as I learned more about fragrances and what Gucci produced, I found out about Gucci Noble or Gucci Nobile. And that was from 1988. That was a manly fougere type fragrance that I have a handful of bottles of that too. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I like Gucci Noble. And then later on in the 90s, Gucci Envy. Gucci Envy, one of their most famous brands, one of their most famous men's cologne and women's cologne. So that one came out in 1996 or 7, the women's Gucci for women. And then Gucci pour Homme, not Gucci pour Homme, Gucci Envy for men. That came out a year later, 98. Which brings me to Gucci pour Homme, 2003. That might be my most favorite Gucci fragrance. And then the one we're going to talk about today is none of those. What I'm going to talk about in this video is this one right here. Gucci pour Homme 2. So Gucci pour Homme 2, this one came out in 2007 is what it says on Fragrantica when I looked it up. 2007, this one came out. Let me see if you can see that. You can see the little ring light I have on this computer that I'm using. This camera is not great. In the future, I'll get a nice camera. You can see Gucci pour Homme 2. So I found this one and I snagged this one about a month ago. And what's special about Gucci pour Homme 2? Well, the problem with Gucci is this. They do make some awesome fragrances, and their packaging, like you can see with this bottle, they make these big, clunky, glass heavy, with weird tops, these clunky bottles. That's one of the weird things about Gucci cologne. Actually, Gucci Guilty is not that bad. But Gucci pour Homme, Gucci pour Homme 2, Gucci Envy, these are all weird shaped bottles. Gucci Rush, what else? And the Gucci Envy for women is this heavy glass oblong bottle that easily falls over. Anyway, the problem with Gucci is that they make these awesome fragrances, and then when they start getting appreciated by the community, they discontinue them. They stop making them. And it is just maddening. It drives me crazy why they discontinued these these beautiful fragrances, and here's one of them. So what happens is that they become rare. They're not made anymore, so the ones that exist get bought by enthusiasts, by people who love this stuff, and the price just goes up like crazy because you have the brand name, the brand recognition, and you have the popularity of it and the scarcity of it. It just makes it a hot commodity. So I was looking online and I saw this come up for sale. I saw this, I guess, within 5 or 10 minutes after it popped up for sale, and the price was a little bit high. I thought maybe that's why it was still sitting there when I saw it. Price was a little bit high, so on this app, I sent a message to the seller asking for a lower price, and it wasn't much lower. Maybe it was stupid that I did that and risked the chance that somebody else would buy it out from under me while I'm trying to negotiate a new price. So I really just asked for like a $5 discount for what it was priced at. And the seller came back quickly, and the seller said, how about this price? I'll just drop it a little bit. And I said, great. Would you dedicate this sale for me? Would you make this an exclusive sale for me, for Steven, at this price? And I'll buy it sometime later today because I'm at work now and I can't look at my phone all the time. Seller came back and the seller said, sure, I'll make this exclusive for you. So in the title, they changed it, exclusive sale for Steven, Gucci pour Homme 2. And then I just went back to work, which is teaching. I can't be looking at my phone and buying stuff while a student is sitting in front of me in a one-to-one lesson. So I was really psyched about that. So I came back to my phone and picked up my phone, and this is like an hour later, and it said exclusive sale for Steven, and it said sold. Wouldn't you know it, some mother effer clicked the button and bought this thing, even though it was dedicated to me. And I was just livid, man. I was just like, oh man, I lost this thing. Because the two things, this app, the rules in this app are, they don't encourage you to do an exclusive sale. The way the policy is whoever buys it for whatever price it is for sale, they get it. The buyer gets it, and the seller has to send it to them. But sellers are nice if they make a dedicated sale. But that it totally supports the seller. So the seller can sell their product no matter what, and the buyer gets screwed for just trying to negotiate their own price. But I was just going crazy like I lost it. And it wasn't a huge deal because I actually do have a handful of these. But I hadn't bought one in a while. And here it was. This is a big 100 ml bottle. It's a 100 ml bottle it's almost full, as you can see. And like I was looking at it, maybe there's 10 or 15 ml missing, but this is at least 90 ml in this bottle here. So, and it's easily worth double what I bought it for, easily, maybe 3 times what I bought it for. So you're probably wondering, how did I get it then if some other sucker bought this out from under me? You can't send a message to the seller. Once it sells, that page is closed, it's locked. You can't post any more comments on the listing. So I had to go to the seller's other item. The seller, thank God, was selling something else, and I can leave a comment there. And I left a comment like, it's me, you dedicated the sale to me, but somebody else bought this. Would you be so kind as to send a message to that buyer and ask them to cancel the sale? Would you do that for me? I'd really appreciate it. But I just thought I was screwed, because usually the seller doesn't care. They just, whoever buys it, and that's it. And I went back to work, and just this thing was on my mind. And just to make a long story bearable for you, it was a miracle. The seller came back and said, please wait. I'm trying to contact the buyer. And then by the end of the day, they came back to me and said the buyer backed out. I asked the buyer, they canceled, they understood, and it's up for sale again. You can buy it, and bam, I got it. So I got this thing, and here it is, Gucci pour Homme 2. I looked it up. This came out in 2007, and the new ones are selling on eBay for like $300 or more. I don't know when this was produced. So they were still making this in 2017, but it got discontinued. That was it. It was done in 2018, which was like 4 or 5 years ago. So this ran for about 10 years before they discontinued it. Now, why did they discontinue it? There's so many reasons why companies discontinue making fragrances. For example, sometimes the compounds, the chemicals, the notes are not available anymore, so they can't make this. Or some chemicals get outlawed. Policies or regulations change, and then they can't produce fragrances with those compounds because people get allergic to it. Things like oak moss that used to be in fragrances are not there anymore. So there are different reasons. Maybe it wasn't selling. Maybe it didn't make the company any money and they discontinued it. Or maybe they wanted to release a new Gucci Pour Homme, which is true. There is another Gucci Pour Homme out there, a line of Gucci Pour Homme that maybe they just wanted that to replace this. And it drives you crazy because this is such an amazing fragrance. And I feel like I'm going to say that all the time in these videos, but this really is. This is like the king of spring. This, for me, is like the perfect spring fragrance. You might argue and say, well, isn't Creed's Green Irish Tweed, isn't that the perfect spring fragrance? I think this is, because what does this smell like? This is a combination of a tiny bit sweet, a tiny bit spicy, and a tiny bit fresh, all combined. So the main notes in here that I notice, you have a little bit of violet. The violet gives it a little bit of that spice, and then you have a little bit of cinnamon, which is the tiny bit of sweetness I mentioned, and then you have tea. There's a tea note in this. So, of course, it's a little bit of musky, there's a little bit of tobacco in it, but this is just so great. And if you look at the reviews online, if you go to Fragrantica, this thing rates right when I checked, it was 4.34 out of 5. Anything over 4 is good. Anything over 4.1 or 4.2, this is over 4.3, so many people love this one. Luckily, there are 2 pretty good clones of this that are out there that smell very similar to this. One of them is Nikos Sculpture God's Night. So not the regular Sculpture. A lot of people in America don't know about Sculpture, but I'm living in Japan. People in Europe might know about Sculpture. Nikos Sculpture is everywhere here in Japan, everywhere where you can buy fragrances, which isn't a whole lot of places. Unless you go to a department store, which only has the brand, the high brand stuff, you have to go to an electronics store, like a big electronics store, or Don Quixote, which is a famous franchise in Japan. You have to go to their cosmetics and fragrance section to find any of the colognes here in Japan. And Sculpture, Nikos Sculpture is there, and it's a cheapie. It's like 25 or 30 bucks, you know, when you convert the yen to the dollar. And that's a fantastic fragrance, by the way. Nikos Sculpture for summer. It's beautiful. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Sculpture God's Night. If you can find God's Night, that is like 90-95% similar to the smell of this one. It doesn't perform as good as this. It doesn't last as long. But I had it last year or 2 years ago. I had a big bottle of it. It was like half full. And I kept a 10 ml sample of God's Night, and then I sold off the bottle. Now I wish I didn't sell off the bottle because I can't find it anymore. That one's discontinued too, and that one's harder to find than this. So I just have like 10 ml left of God's Night. But there's another one that's readily available, and it's a cheapie, and it's called Hane Mori Him, H-I-M. And that one's easy to find. That one's on eBay for 20 or 30 bucks. And I heard that one smells like 80-85% similar to Gucci Pour Homme 2. When it dries down, it smells a little bit different. It goes in a different direction, but I think that's all right. Anyway, I'm glad I have the original. Now, the one problem with this bottle is I don't know when it was produced, because there was one reformulation in 2010. I think maybe 3 years after it came out, they changed it. They had to change it. 2011, by the way, was a big change in the industry. There was a few chemicals that were banned, and a lot of the fragrances that we know are different than what they were before that. Abercrombie Fierce is an example of one of them. But I'd love to know the batch code, but it's not here. The batch code is hidden because of this Japanese import sticker. All of these colognes that I'm finding in Japan have some kind of a leaflet that comes with it in Japanese. These are like warning because it's some kind of chemical in perfume that they have to give a consumer warning that we don't have in the States. And they put a sticker on it. So I can't see the batch code. I tried using my flashlight. I tried sticking the flashlight in here. I can't see it. It sucks. I don't know. Maybe I should take the sticker off. Maybe I should try peeling it off because I don't want to pull the batch code. If the batch code is printed, it's going to come off on the sticker, but I should still be able to see it. Why don't we give it a try? Why don't I do this on the camera here? I'm going to carefully peel this thing back and see if I can reveal the batch code so I can know if this is before the reformulation or after the reform. Oh, it's coming off easily. Let me see this here. Oh, there it is. I can easily see it. You can easily see it. Okay. So let me see if you can see it there. 3142. So you see that? 3142. The first number, 3 is the year. So this is a 2003. So this is after the reformulation. So this is a 2003. No, sorry. 2013 is what I meant to say. This is a 2013 vintage Gucci Pour Homme 2. All right. So that's this one. And by the way, I have another one. This is a 50 ml. So this is a 50 ml Gucci Pour Homme 2. And I picked this up recently. I picked this one up last week. I bought this one. There's no story with this other than I saw it come up. The price was good, and I just bought it right away. So this one is like almost in new condition. It's in the box. And check out this design too. Check out this design. This like checker thing. Doesn't this look retro, like 80s to you? Personally, I think this is kind of cheesy to have this kind of a design. And Gucci Pour Homme 1, the 2003, also has a brownish color of this design. And I just think it's kind of cheesy. For Gucci, you think Gucci would be, avant-garde or ahead of its time, and this looks like it's going back to the 70s or early 80s or mid 80s at that, but it's a collector's item now. And what do I know about fashion, right? I guess I don't know anything. And if you can you see how this is contoured, this Gucci label? This is really cool because this is what the cap looks like. So you can see it resembles the cap. There you go, you can see it right there. So this cap is, check this out. It's a light metal cap, and it has this a big bulky plastic thing inside. And sometimes this part of the bottle, I don't know what you call this, the neck or the stem, the neck gets stuck. This is what snaps into the top, and sometimes it gets stuck inside here, and you have to pull it out of there. It gets annoying. Gucci Envy has that problem. I didn't mention this. I was going to mention this. One of the cool things about this bottle, if you can see, is the lettering on the front, Gucci Pour Homme 2, is intact. It's clean and it's all there. And why is that rare? Because a lot of people, when they sell these used, they clean them up and they take a cloth and they spray it with Windex or alcohol and they wipe it off, and the lettering comes off with that. And that's another thing that just drives me crazy. There's a couple pet peeves I have. One of them is just handling the bottle and wiping off the label or mishandling the bottle. Another fragrance that's notorious for having messed up labels is Dior Fahrenheit, especially the minis. People twist them off, and they twist off after a while, the label, the writing gets weak, and it just comes off easily. Dior Fahrenheit, these Gucci Pour Homme 2, the labels come off so easily and it drives me crazy. But this one is intact and clean. It looks really nice. And let's quickly take this one out so you can see this one. All right. I'm getting to the 20-minute mark. I got to end this video pretty quickly here. Again, this one has been stored in the box. This one is like new. This one is nearly full. This is a 50 ml. This is a 50 ml, and I'd say that this one it can't have more than 5 ml missing. So this is at least 45 milliliters remaining in here. And you can see the batch code very clearly on here. There's no Japanese sticker on this. Makes me wonder where they got this. Maybe somebody in Japan, could be a foreigner like me in Japan that brought this over, or somebody went to Hawaii on vacation, for example, and bought it there as a souvenir and brought it back, sprayed it a couple times, and then just put it away for 10 years. So 6340. So 6 is the first number. And I looked at the box. I did some research on the Raiders of the Lost Scent website, this awesome site that basically gives you all this information about when these, how to date these fragrances. And I looked at the address here, if you can see it, made in France, 33 Rue Francois 1. So this is what the box looks like when it first was produced. The first bottles came out. So this clue tells me that this is a first edition. Now, it came out in 2007. So what does the 6 mean? This thing has a 2006 date on it, or 2006 batch code. So this is an original bottle that came out when it was first produced. This is the first one. So Gucci pour Homme 2, this is a treasure that I recently found, pulled off of a website, bought it, grabbed it, snagged it. What did I pay for these? I won't tell you exactly, but let's just say I paid less than $100 for both of these combined. So I think these are worth at least double that or more. These will come out, I'll sell these off, who knows, a few years later, 3 years down the line, I'll probably sell these. But for now, I'm just gonna enjoy them. I'll even waste a smell just so I can remember what this thing smells like. Let's let this thing dry out a little bit. You gotta let the alcohol just kind of evaporate when you spray on your skin, because all you're smelling is alcohol in the first 10 seconds or so. Oh man. Oh man. Now I know why everybody loves this, because I've smelled hundreds of fragrances in the past 5 years or so, and before that, and there's nothing that smells like this. This is so nice. This is so nice. Oh, this is awesome. I might even just wear this and not sell it. I don't know. Maybe just a couple times in springtime. I think this will last if I just spray this just for a couple days in spring. I have so many fragrances that I just change it every day. I don't even go a week wearing the same one. But anyway, that's it. Gucci pour Homme 2. This is my I'm uncovering this treasure. And thanks for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. Come back for the next video. See you next time.